Explosive devices seized by North Customs Sector during an operation codenamed HALCOMI Zone 3. North Governor reassures security within the region and its frontiers has been beefed up to control criminal activities. President Paul Biya's largesse to victims of the Douala floods has been extended to bike riders. They received basic commodities through Vuri Senior Divisional Officer Benjamin Mbutu. Two unsuccessful candidates at the PATYCHOU's death over life. In tonight's newscast, we investigate how examination failure can be managed. And those are top stories. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News. I'm Gladys Tata on Anchor.
Il est essentiel que les mesures qui ont été indiquées soient absolument respectées par chacun de nous.
Lavez-vous régulièrement les mains à l'eau et au savon ou à l'aide d'un gel hydroalcoolique. Restez à au moins 1 mètre de distance des autres personnes, surtout si elles toussent, éternuent ou ont de la fièvre. Si vous avez de la fièvre, de la toux ou des difficultés à respirer, consultez un médecin.
Explosive devices from a neighboring country have been seized by the North Customs Sector during an operation of the Special Unit for the Fight Against Illicit Trade, HALCOMI Zone 3. The governor of the North Region, Jean Abate Edi, who visited the HALCOMI command post, revealed that security within the region and its frontiers will be reinforced in order to control criminal activities. Tony Nanyongo reports from CRTV, Garwa.
The about 200 explosive devices were seized during a routine control by the Special Customs Unit for the fight against illicit trade in the 3 northern regions known as HALCOMI.
This seizure was done in the bush of Pakete. Pakete is a town beside Garwa. We control everything that enters the country. So this vehicle, this tallet, was coming and then we stopped it. It refused to stop. So our boys used a special technique that we have to stop vehicles. So we had to put the vehicle down, and then while controlling, the 2 occupants of the vehicle had to run away. So it's when we discovered this important stock of explosives.
Such operations, which the customs officials say will be multiplied, also fall in line with their determination to check illicit trade and contribute to the growth of the country's economy. Visiting the command post of HALCOMI, North Regional Governor Jean Abate Edi, who was accompanied by top defense and security officials of the region, congratulated the collaboration and synergy among different forces in the fight against criminal activities. The governor also gave assurances that measures are underway to reinforce surveillance in the region. Meanwhile, economic operators have been advised to stay within the law in their business transactions.
And we go over to the Far North region, where the Special Customs Unit for the Fight Against Illicit Trade, HALCOMI, for the 3 northern regions of the country, has seized a stock of contraband goods in a truck from neighboring Nigeria. And the coordinator of the operation, Major Jude Mofo, says the goods bypass the customs control. And he has called on business persons to respect legislation in their transaction. We have Henry Tato Ekambi from CRTV, Marwa.
Since the institution of the operation to halt illicit trade, known by its French acronym as HALCOMI, by the Director General of Customs, it has been hard times for smugglers and dealers in illicit goods in the 3 northern regions.
Around Demsa, Gashiga in Garwa, it is so open. And then in Marwa, we have around Mayochanaga, around Buruha, around Bukula. We had information that smugglers were coming from Nigeria. We had to go and block the road.
This latest booty of the HALCOMI team clearly translates their determination in the operation.
Most of the vehicles that we have here, those are vehicles that enter the country without passing through the customs offices. Some of them are already immatriculated. They have categories. They have the number plates of doubtful origin or fraudulent customs documents.
Apart from stocks of illegal pharmaceutical products, the seizure also includes stocks of sugar, textile, and raw materials for the fabrication of improvised explosive devices. The operations commander, Jude Mofo, has been appealing for collaboration from all and sundry in order to scale down customs fraud along the Douala-N'Djamena corridor.
We shall take you over to Marwa, where John Ayok Ashu says the President of the Republic has been assisting victims of another flood over there in Marwa. Let's have his report.
The Flood Prevention Emergency Project, known by its French acronym as PATYCHOU, is President Paul Biya's response to the devastating floods which hit Mayo-Danai Division in 2012. With a budget of 54 billion francs, PATYCHOU has constructed a 70-kilometer dike on the retaining walls of Lake Maga and reinforced a protective shield around River Logon. Besides, a 7,500-hectare perimeter has been rehabilitated for rice production, while 3,315 houses have been built for the internally displaced.
She actually has put in place an early warning system that is well distributed in the Logon River Basin. Also, a risk management scheme, not only to prepare the local administrators to handle the catastrophe when it is there, but to prepare the people to respond adequately.
The Flood Prevention Emergency Project has not only helped to repair damage caused by natural disaster, but has also set the base for prevention.
And within the past few weeks, floods have hit several towns and localities of Cameroon. The floods have recorded human deaths and enormous material damage. But how can disaster like floods be managed? Ebenezer Akanga attempts an answer.
Mulvudai in Mayokani division of the Far North region is the latest town in Cameroon to be hit by floods. These past few weeks, floods have hit several towns and localities of the country, notably Edea and Douala in the littoral region, Sangchu in the west region, Fontem in the southwest region, Kaikai and Maga subdivisions still in the far north. The management of disasters like floods is incumbent on the Department of Civil Protection in the Ministry of Territorial Administration.
I and the General of the Firefighters Corps elaborate a report with the measure to take by decision makers to reduce the effect of those disasters and others on the population.
Since the latest wave of floods that have been hitting the country, the Department of Civil Protection has been active coordinating assistance to the victims. Beyond the relief that is provided to victims, strict measures must be taken in towns and cities of the country to tackle the problem of floods. For example, sending away all those occupying risk zones. If not, the disaster will keep occurring and wreaking havoc.
And commercial bike riders who were victims of the floods of August 21 in the littoral region have received the head of state's assistance with material from the Vuri Senior Divisional Officer Benjamin Butu, who has called on them to avoid setting on risk zones. The items comprising mattresses, buckets and some cooking items are expected to rekindle hope in the bike riders after the incident. Dixon Ashu from Douala tells us more.
The over 80 bike riders shortlisted for the assistance package are among those highly hit by the recent floods in Douala. Most of them live in flood-prone areas around the economic capital and consequently have incurred heavy material loss during the incident. The assistance items from the head of state should be consolatory. You know, when you are in need, every help is welcomed. That is why we say thank you to the head of state. The items are destined to meet immediate needs after the disaster, says the Senior Divisional Officer of the Vuri, Benjamin Butu, and are not to be sold.
This is the solidarity, and the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, think that after the damage we can see in the night of the 20 and 21 August, it is possible that we can go to help the population who don't have more.
The bike riders have also been warned to stay clear of disaster risk areas, for no amount of assistance from the head of state or any philanthropist will give back life if the worst ever happens to them in the future.
Two unsuccessful candidates at the BEVIECES examination committed suicide last week in Douala. 15-year-old Chinda Kamta Fabrice Gabriel and Nanga Brenda Michelle did not accept the failure. Their parents are still in shock after the unexplained act. Their actions have revived the problem of how to deal with examination frustrations at a time when official exam results are gradually being published. Moni Emma reports.
Gabriel Fabrice Chinda Kamta and Nanga Brenda Michelle, now in the past. The BEVIECES examination slipped through their fingers. Little Gabriel, who could not accept the failure, swallowed a poisonous substance that led to his death. It was in the same unhappy state that Brenda Michelle committed suicide. The educational community is mourning. This tragedy has revived a serious problem, which is to know how failure can be managed. When we put a child in school, there is a lot of hope. We see him among the bigwigs of the country. We believe that he will not go unnoticed and that his generation will talk about him. Poison or antidote? One of these is present when the string of results unfold. Reason why the support of parents and guardians is primordial for the successful decision-making in children. First, parents need to calm down and make him understand that it can happen to anyone. Secondly, comfort the child and tell him nothing is gotten without hard work, and failing an exam does not make him a failure. And lastly, reorganize yourselves. Sad, this is, however, the school of life.
The school of life, indeed. Most poultry farmers in the West region regrouped in cooperatives who received government subventions through the Livestock Development Project, PRODEL, to boost production have efficiently used the funds. Kevin Nembo visited one of such cooperatives dubbed Abogo Ele in Penka-Michel Menua Division and now reports.
In 2017, Cameroon was hardly hit by a bird flu outbreak. The government then set up the Livestock Development Project, PRODEL, to provide funding for farmer-producer organizations, especially those involved in poultry farming. The Aboga Ele Cooperative in Penka-Michel in the Menua Division received a sum of 800 million CFA francs, with 60% of the money from PRODEL, 30% from its members, and 10% as loan obtained from one credit union. With this money in hand, they were able to rebuild 2 poultry sheds on a 758 meter square surface area for 5,000 layer beds. And going by the Cooperative Management Committee President Gabriel Abo, the government did quite well to support them because today they have put together the broken pieces and can now employ up to 4 permanent workers, thus contributing to curbing youth unemployment. The project now stands at over 95%, and members of the cooperative that is presently feeling the COVID-19 hit because they can no longer produce for exports, as it was the case in the past, remain optimistic that the future will certainly be brighter.
The people of Edingding, a locality in Obala Center region, have celebrated the first fish harvest. The harvest, which is from a 10-year-old pond, has attracted buyers from neighboring villages. It is a project initiated by a Cameroonian based in Canada, Christophe de Gaulle, who says his objective is to create jobs for youth in his community. Celestine Karin Eyike has the details.
Measuring a surface area of about 1,080 meters squares, the fish pond is part of an ambition project by Christophe de Gaulle to limit the importation of fish in the country and provide jobs to the youth of Edingding.
It's been about 10 years since we started this activity. Due to some difficulties, we had to stop. It is a project conceived by Christophe de Gaulle to provide employment for the youth of the community.
The first harvest, which produced a large quantity of tilapia and selu, was a time of celebration as it attracted hundreds of business persons and housewives from all the towns who came to buy. This is my village. I got the news that there was going to be a fishing activity today. Cameroon currently imports about 90% of the fish consumed in the country. Christophe de Gaulle sees in fish farming in Cameroon a way to reduce the high dependence of imports.
How many of you know that watermelon can be transformed into white wine? 30-year-old Bibi Martial, an agro-engineer who lives in Santa Barbara, a neighborhood in Yaoundé, is into this business. Though his brewery is still in an embryo stage, Bibi Martial says his objective is to commercialize the wine in Cameroon and beyond. Gerard Nanji Eyambe is our man on that beat.
A sip of the Bibi white wine means consuming a Cameroon-made brand. The wine obtained from watermelon is the brainchild of 30-year-old Bibi Martial Arnaud, an agro-engineer who graduated from Polytechnique Maroua.
Clients, they like product, they need it, waiting for meeting. When we go to the market, we see many of watermelon, people like just eat it for fruit. I decided to help transform watermelon to wine.
The product, which is at its prototype phase, is produced with rudimentary equipment.
This is the refractometer. When I use it, is to have the real quantity of sugar, will give me the quantity of alcohol which I need.
Bibi Martial Arnaud is a beneficiary of a presidential fund. With the money, he hopes to transform his environment by popularizing his brand.
The Minister of PME helped me to support to develop the project. We can develop this company.
Like many of his peers, they want to add value to the Made in Cameroon products.
Members of the Association of Cameroon Businesswomen, GEFAC, have been urged to redouble efforts to contribute to the socio-economic growth of the country. The national president, Senator Ntube Agnes Njok, made the appeal while presiding over the General Assembly of the group this weekend in Yaoundé. Quinta Rita Edan has more.
The meeting, which took place in the recently constructed headquarters of the Association of Cameroon Businesswomen, GEFAC, was a forum to strategize and build sustainable businesses. Reports from the regions indicate a painful drop in activities due to the health pandemic and the crisis in some parts of the country, pushing some members to change their business sectors. The national president advised women to pay their taxes regularly so as to keep the economy alive and hailed efforts to generate income. She equally unveiled the new roadmap of the association.
To train young girls who will be the businesswomen of tomorrow. We want to take our experience to transfer it to the young generation.
The meeting featured the putting in place of a new national bureau with Lynn Enanga, mayor of Nituku in Bamenubu division, grabbing the post of Secretary General. A motion of support to thank President Paul Biya for his support to businesswomen drew the curtains.
Roman Catholic priests in the Bamenda Archdiocese have been challenged to preach the gospel of peace and reconciliation to the protagonists in the ongoing conflict for the return to normalcy in the restive northwest region. The Archbishop of Bamenda made the appeal during celebrations marking 35 years of priesthood of Reverend Father Humphrey Tata Mboi. Kilo Valerine Sala reports from Bamenda.
Metropolitan Cathedral in Bamenda, a unique mass to celebrate the career of a rare priest of the Bamenda Archdiocese to have been ordained by Pope John Paul II on force. The man who is honored during this event was born over 60 years ago in Jakiribui division.
I have been from parish priest through to schools. I've spent 19 years in various institutions of the Catholic Church.
The hierarchy of the Bamenda Archdiocese uses the occasion to urge all priests in the diocese to emulate the example of Reverend Father Tata Mboi, reputed for uncompromising preaching of the gospel.
The priest is an alter Christus, which means he is another Christ. And who is Jesus Christ? The anointed one of God, the Prince of Peace.
Reverend Father Tata Mboi has described the publication of over 20 books, mainly in the areas of African religion, sociology, and anthropology as one of his greatest achievements in priesthood.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Our tour of the different regions this Sunday takes us to the northwest to get the COVID-19 situation coupled with the socio-political crisis. Baldwin Sama is live at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with his guest, Dr. Kingsley So Chair, Northwest Regional Delegate of Public Health. Hi, Baldwin.
Good evening. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. After the Southwest region yesterday, this Sunday we take you over to the Northwest region of Cameroon, where our guest tonight is the Regional Delegate of Public Health for the Northwest region, Dr. Kingsley So Chair. Mr. Regional Delegate, good evening.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Tell us, Mr. Regional Delegate, what measures have you put in place at the level of the Northwest region to be able to limit this spread of the deadly virus in the Northwest region of Cameroon?
A number of measures that we put in place, and these are all contained in our regional plan of action. But I'll just cite a few of them. The first one being the institution of a task force in each of the 34 subdivisions in the region. This is actually a task force that is led by the divisional officers in each of these subdivisions, and their main role is to ensure that the population respect the barrier measures that have been prescribed by the government in collaboration with the World Health Organization. That's why when you come to the Northwest region, you can quickly notice that the population is more and more developing the reflex of putting on the face masks. So this commission is tasked with ensuring that. And secondly, we have been running a mass testing campaign for COVID-19 for the past 2 weeks now, and this is an activity that enabled us to be able to test so many people and to be able to identify those who are positive and place them on treatment. So far, we've been able to test during this campaign a total of more than 10,000 persons, amongst whom we've had like 50 of them being positive, and we've effectively placed the 50 on treatment.
Finally, Mr. Regional Delegate, the Northwest region is facing two crises. We have the social unrest in the Northwest and the coronavirus. How do you do to manage these two crises?
Yes, you are correct. Unfortunately, our region has been a victim of a socio-political crisis for the past 4 years now. And as we all know, this crisis has had a lot of negative effects on the health system. And just to cite a few, from time to time, we have frequent road blockages. We have ghost towns. We've even had health personnel who have been abducted. Some have even been killed. We've lost a total of 4 personnel since 2016. And some of our health facilities have been destroyed and even some burned down. As we speak, we have 30 health structures that have been closed down on a total of 380. And just like you mentioned, since the 20th of April 2020, we were affected also by the COVID-19 pandemic. So now bringing us to a total of 2 crises that we have to manage.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kingsley So Chair. You are the Regional Delegate for Public Health. With the Northwest region, we have put an end to the first phase of our tour of the different regions of Cameroon. Next weekend, we shall begin with the second phase of the tour of the different regions to get a pulse of the spread of the coronavirus in Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama. And on to this obituary, the remains of former Littoral Province Governor Samuel Peforan Kaifon has been laid to rest in his native Fumban in the West region. West Governor Awafonka Augustine represented the Minister of Territorial Administration at the funeral. Chanceline Nanze of CRTV West tells us more.
A journey of no return here has begun. The former governor of the Littoral Province, Samuel Peforan Kaifon, has been laid to rest by his friends, family, and well-wishers. If only they had the power to hold death, they would have loved to once more listen to the man they all qualify as an epitome of wisdom, humility, and a role model to today's administrators. Before his demise on the 2nd of August, Samuel Peforan Kaifon was a notable at the Bamoun Palace and honorary elder in the Evangelical Church of Cameroon. He served as SDO for the Sanaga Maritime, then as governor of the Littoral Province from 1982 to 1996. He authored 4 books on territorial administration. West Governor Awafonko Augustine represented the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, while the Sultan of Bamun, His Royal Highness Ibrahim Bombonjoya, was represented by his deputy, Dr. Ngupayu Inusa. Nji Kaifon Pefura Samuel leaves behind 5 children to mourn him.
Louis Constantin Esakuna has been enthroned and installed as third-class chief of Longzok in SAS subdivision of the Center region with a call to fight against drug abuse in the locality. The 47-year-old chief of protocol of the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, says his main target is to unite the population and construct befitting palace in his locality. Emanuela Vemio witnessed the crowd polling event and now reports.
Inhabitants of Longzok summoned to be witnesses to history, the making of he that will henceforth govern them as third-class chief. His Majesty Louis Constantin Esakuna is led into the shrine for the enthronement ritual, then emerges with his attributes, but before he is presented to his people, the 47-year-old honors the memory of his dad who now rests with the ancestors, then is received in jubilation. Now an auxiliary of the administration, the DO for SAR has unveiled his roadmap, fight against drug abuse, and more. To the Chief of Protocol for the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, it is time for reconciliation. Let's put aside hatred and embrace peace and development. The elite and population of Longzok then look forward to the modern chief's palace, whose foundation stone has been laid.
And on our Slaughter Artist of the Week, we profile Ivorian singer sensation Josie. The artist, nicknamed Women's Advocate due to her genre of music, came into the spotlight in 2015 with her single Diplome. Trained in public administration, Josie chose her passion and today dreams of becoming a reference around the globe. Emanuela Vemio spoke to Josie on a short visit to Cameroon and now pens her profile.
From an ordinary Ivorian girl in 2013 to a music sensation in 2020, José has carved a niche for herself, and between her competencies in public administration and her passion, the music sensation has settled for the Diploma of Celebrity in 2015. Her music genre has earned her a title from her fellow countrymen.
Ivorians have nicknamed me Women's Advocate.
With over 5 albums and lots of collaborations, José Priscille continues to make steady steps in music, winning hearts, yet aiming high.
Win lots of awards for my country and be cited among reference musicians internationally.
And the journey seems long. Her latest single, Espoir, gives hope to her fans on everything except
my heart.
And José is here to stay.
Let's talk sports now. Club presidents of female football teams of both Elite 1 and 2 in Cameroon have renewed their confidence in the current executive bureau of the National Association of Female Football Promoters in Cameroon. This was during an honorary session of the association, which was occasioned to call on FECAFO to disburse subventions to enable the female federation kick off their next football championship. Baldwin Sama has the details.
They had a common goal, meeting in their ordinary session as the different club presidents of female football teams in Cameroon laid emphasis on club subvention from the Cameroon Football Federation and the FIFA financial support against COVID-19 as key for the championship to resume.
We should really look for the way forward to see how we can develop feminine football, and I'm pleading with the powers that be that they could help us, give us subvention to see how we can manage the feminine football teams.
Like the subventions that have been giving, there's the COVID money that was given, we have not done about it. There's power of subvention that was supposed to be paid last year that it has not been paid. We don't know why.
In order to achieve these objectives, the different club presidents simply renewed their confidence in the present Executive Bureau of the National Association of Female Club Presidents in Cameroon, while electing others to fill the vacancies.
And that's how we saw the 7:30 news tonight. Thanks for watching. Join Atabadine Umar at 8:30 for the news in French. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
Let us channel all our energies towards fighting this common enemy.